In this video, we're going to do some more algebraic examples, and I guess the best way to think about algebra and its applications is to actually look at word problems and try to translate them into something that you can actually calculate. So to start with, let's look at question A here. We want to find an expression for the number of tickets that is needed for 3 boys and R girls. So immediately we notice there are 3 variables involved here. We have number of tickets, there are 3 boys and R girls, so this is just going to be any number. So how many tickets do we need for this quantity and this quantity added together? Well, let's say that the number of tickets is n, then that's going to be equal to 3 tickets, which are basically correspond to the boys, plus the number of tickets that correspond to girls, so that's going to be R. So in this case, that would be the expression for this particular question. Now for question B, we're asked to find the cost of p pies, so that means that p is the number of pies, that where each pie is $3, okay? So $3 each. So 1 pie equals $3. So in that case, what we want to do is we want to find out the cost as an expression of those 2 other things. So let's say the cost is represented by C. Then we want to find out, okay, so what's the total cost? If the cost of 1 pie is 3, then the cost of p pies, it has to be 3 times p, or basically just 3p, like that. Then for this one, we're going to have to calculate the number of grams of a cake if 800 grams is shared equally among C children. So we're going to divide 800 grams of cake equally among C children. So we have a number C of children and then the number of grams of cake. So let's say that the number of grams of cake needed per children is going to be that. Then we have a total of 800 grams. And now we have C children, so if we want to divide, we're just going to have to write it like that. Now for question D, we have an expression that is just telling us to write something that represents this. So we have 10 less than the product of 4 and x. So the key thing is the product of 4 and x, that's going to be 4x. And we have 10 less than that, so that means that we need to subtract 10 from that to make it 10 less than that. So that's going to be the expression that corresponds to this word problem. Now the next one is going to tell us the sum of squares of x, y, and z. Well, first of all, what is exactly what we're asked? The sum is we're just going to add all of those things together, but what exactly? We're going to have to take the square of each of these and then add them together. So in this case, we're going to have x squared plus y squared plus z squared. So that's going to be the sum of the squares of those 3 things. Now for question F here, we want to express the cube of the square root of x. So there are 2 things that we're doing here. We're taking the square root of x, so that's written in this form, and then we're going to take the cube of that, which is raising this whole thing to the power of 3. So that's how we would essentially interpret that question. And for the last question here, all we need to do is we're given a rectangle, and we are asked to find expressions for the perimeter and the area of this rectangle if it has sides x and y. Okay, so let's represent the perimeter by p. Now we know the perimeter is just the add all the sides, all the lengths of the sides added together. So in this case, we have x here and x there, and we have y on both sides. So x plus x is 2x. And then we have these 2 sides which contribute to y. Or another way in which we could write it is just 2 times x plus y. So that's going to be the perimeter of that rectangle. Now the area of a rectangle is just the product of the 2 sides. So in this case, it's just going to be x times y. And that's it. So basically, this is how you interpret word questions and how you make up algebraic expressions out of certain questions. In this particular course, we're going to be doing things that are a lot more complicated than this. So make sure that you understand the basics and you know how to interpret a question like that so that you're comfortable deriving those expressions yourself.